you.
He said he's got a bunch of those.
Yeah, I got a few of them teenagers.
Oh, this is exciting. We got Pastor. All right, I'm gonna let you get started because we're live. Pastor Robert, would you share it as well too?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. For the conversation.
You should write a post, right?
Yeah, write a post.
You know, my Facebook stopped letting me do watch parties.
What?
Why? I don't know. I try to do watch parties on Sunday. I used to be able to do it, invite people.
Yeah.
You going hard in the paint.
Yes, sir. All right, we good to go.
We're good. We live. We're ready to go. Look,
Pastor Tim is like,
don't be scared
he's
already.
looking like, what the heck should I expect right now?
The funniest part of Pastor Tim is you look like a bull right now because your head fits right perfect with that picture behind you.
Oh, yeah.
So you look like you got some horn. There you are.
There you go. That's epic.
That's a Texas Longhorn right there.
I just took a picture of that. It's dope.
So, we're starting.
Let's go.
Cool. And welcome back, everybody, to Pastors Unfiltered. This is episode 12. This episode is being brought to you by the No Sag Belt Company. If you're having trouble with your pants staying up on your waist, give the No Sag Belt Company a try. And as always, dope sauce. My name is Denver. I have with me, as always, my brother, my pastor, Pastor Muta Mwenya of Relevant Church, Niles, Michigan. We have a special guest with us, Pastor Tim Mangan from Life Church, Grand Haven, Michigan. I might have messed your last name up. I apologize.
How do you say your last name, bro?
Mangan.
Mangan.
They call me a special guest because I qualified for the Special Olympics.
Are you making fun of special people?
Do not respond to that. Don't do that.
Because that's what it seems like. Listen, we are equal opportunity Pastors Unfiltered Facebook.
How unfiltered are we right now?
Moving right along.
And as always, our resident Pastors Unfiltered crasher, Pastor Robert Trice of Relevant Grand Rapids, Michigan. And now you've been here so long, you got to quit telling the new people what's up. We can't do what we do if you keep on telling on us.
Right.
Bro, I feel less love every time I get on. I'm a crasher. I'm a resident crasher.
No, that's all the love right there.
Yeah.
That's all the love.
Because we want you here. We love you being a part of this. And I feel like Pastor Tim's gonna be he's gonna be a resident as well too. I got the feeling like he's coming back.
Right up the valley. He's like,
I feel like I'm like the least responsible one here, and I'm gonna.
Well, you're perfect here then.
Yeah, you're perfect. You're amongst friends then.
Perfect.
All right,
Pastor Muta, you want to give your disclaimer?
So I'm gonna give my disclaimer that I do every single week. Pastors Unfiltered is an unfiltered conversation that takes place amongst pastors and friends. You are being able to watch this live. You get to pull back the curtains and have a conversation with the pastor. We're answering you guys' questions. All of our questions may not be representative of the churches that we pastor or the organizations that we represent, but they are purely our opinion and should not be held accountable for our organizations and all that good stuff. They will be unfiltered and they are unscripted. These pastors have no clue what we're about to ask them. We're asking them your questions, and here we go. All right.
Fellas ready?
Today's questions are all over the place, so good luck. Yeah. Start with number one.
How do you know that someone is the one or is not the one?
I've got a scale when I look at them of about 0 to 10.
It says 0 to 10.
So how do you scale them? Is a 5 the one?
The higher up it is, the more likely she is, you know.
5 or up.
That's the Tim.
Look at my face, man. I'll take a 3. You kidding me?
That's the Tim. I'm just say this. I'm gonna just say this one.
Look, he's about to warn him.
This is on the internet.
Why are you telling them that? Listen, we're always unfiltered.
Because we are men of God, Pastor. This is on the internet. That's all I'm saying. The rest is on you. Okay.
What are your thoughts on
What are your thoughts on it?
Who, me?
Yeah, how do you know somebody's the one and is not the one? I still want to go back to Pastor Tim's scale, but we're going to get back to that. What about you, Pastor Robert?
I'm not one of those people that feel like there's one. Like, I'm not one of those, of all the billions of, the hundreds of millions of people walking the planet.
Hold on, your wife is watching. What you mean there's not just one?
So there's not just one?
If I can finish my statement.
So hold on, you're telling us Pastor Latricia may not be the one? Is that what you're saying?
You gonna have him coming down here.
No, now y'all making up stuff. You ask me a question, I answer the question.
You're saying there's options out there? Is that what you're saying?
There are options.
Matter of fact, she said you better answer right.
You need to listen.
All right, we're listening.
So I'm not one of those people that believe there's one person out here for you in the whole world and everybody else will be the wrong one you wouldn't be compatible to be with. I believe that you, as a man, is your responsibility to go out there and find a wife. Go out there and get yourself ready, make a good choice. So as far as the one and not the one, me personally, I prayed. Somebody told me a long time ago, pray. And I said, God, show me my wife. Latricia is the one that he showed me. That was my wife. Now, do I believe that there is no other woman walking the face of the earth that would have ever been able to be compatible with?
We should probably stop.
That's what I mean. That's
I'm like, we don't want to get you in any issues right now.
I mean, like, if she got hit by a bus, like, I would have found another,
This is not a new question. For me. She's hurt.
No doubt. No, that's what's up, man.
The one for me,
yeah.
But I don't tell people there's one person. You know how much pressure that is to tell somebody it's one person on planet Earth, and if you don't pick that right one, the rest are the wrong ones. It's like, what? You Martin Luther. When Martin Luther, what was it, the Reformation Proclamation?
Proclamation?
Wait.
It's just the Reformation, during the Reformation.
So when Martin Luther went and started setting people, when he started letting people know that they was following false doctrines and nuns were walking away, one of them was like, you told me I get a husband, where's my husband? So he married her. They learned to love each other over time because they realized marriage was a covenant and a commitment, not just something to, it was a biblical understanding what marriage was. We don't have that nowadays.
Yeah, you can't learn to love nowadays. That's tough.
So are you saying we can learn to love someone even if, like, no matter who they are, like, we can learn to love someone?
Yeah, because love is a choice and love is your actions and not your feelings. You decide.
Go ahead.
To love somebody.
Pastor Tim, what are some more of your thoughts? After you've gone to the scale and you've seen, like, okay, this one is a 7, this one's an 8, and they're acceptable. How do you begin to unfold that decision?
My wife just walked past. So I'm like, yeah, man, like, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. What scale?
I love it.
But you know what? Okay, so what Robert was just saying, how you can learn to love someone. You look at the rate of marriage consistency when it comes to organized marriages, where, right or wrong, wherever you stand on that one, like the people that have the organized marriages, they're not called that. What are they called? Arranged. Thanks, Dave. Arranged marriages.
Is your wife listening in right now? That was epic. I love it.
What you talking about?
Yes, that's great. I love it.
But they actually have a massively high rate of staying together in marriage. And I think, absolutely, you learn to love someone. If you were to go back to what you were saying, like, is there like a one for you? Like, I'm a pretty huge believer. There is no like the one. When you get married, you make them the one. And you know what I mean? Like, before that, nah. But once you get married, that's your one. And it's your responsibility to make sure that relationship's fostered, it's built, that it's sown into, and that one stays the one. You know what I mean?
So
That's
do
good.
you believe that's why the rate of divorce is so high, because they don't learn to love through all of that?
You know, I think in our society, unfortunately, we don't have like a huge aspect of resilience and pushing through and fighting for things. Like, it's a lot easier to just walk away, even from like a cultural and societal aspect, where, you know, back in the day, you know, like when our were like young and someone gets like divorced, like, wow, that's a big deal. Nowadays, it's just kind of a part of life, which I think just makes it a lot easier. And so instead of fighting for something, I think a lot of people just take that easy route. And, you know, obviously there are a lot of cases where that's not the case. You know what I mean? Like, we know a lot of people who really fought really hard for their marriage, and unfortunately, like, it did not work, you know. But I think in our society makes it a lot easier to walk away than it does to fight for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who get married nowadays who never should have got married. I am amazed at how many people I come across who never had premarital counseling. And through premarital counseling, it might have been made aware that either we're not ready, there's some things that we need to come to grips with, or during premarital counseling, might have been made aware that this is not healthy, this will not be a good marriage.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that marriage is something that they're going to try out because they don't know what real marriage is. Yeah, let's try this. It's like the last ditch effort to save a relationship that's already bad. So I've seen that a lot.
That's good, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. You guys ready for question number 2?
I don't know.
I don't know if you're ready for this one. This one, we need your unfiltered answer.
No filters.
I've got in trouble twice already, and you're telling me to be on.
Oh, well, you're on a roll then.
You're on a roll. Yeah, you're good.
What's the worst sin you've had to confront within your church? No names.
No names. Yeah.
I can tell you the most annoying one.
Tell us the most annoying one.
Bro, so I'm from...
It's like we're ready.
Right, so I'm from Sydney, Australia, right? There's like no Jesus in Sydney. And so we were youth pastors in a pretty rough area of Sydney. And in our youth ministry, like even when we moved here back in 2011, like just before we left, like one of our kids, his dad stabbed himself to death chest with one of the kitchen knives and full on bled out in the street in his son's arms. Then another kid got shot by the cops. Another kid got stabbed to death with a screwdriver. And we're in this really like low socioeconomic area. And we're like, oh, like no one here knows Jesus. You guys need to tell your friends about him. Like if you don't tell your friends about Jesus, Fuller might not even be here next week. You know what I mean? And so we're like really all about just reaching the young people in our city for Jesus. And then we moved over here to West Michigan. And we're like, oh, hey, let's go tell people about Jesus, hey. And they're like, nah, can you pray for me? And I'm like, yeah, then you'll go tell your friends about Jesus. And they're like, prophesy over me. And I'm like, what's happening? Tell people about Jesus. Like, that's all we got to do, man. Let's go tell people about Jesus. And we came over here and we got hit with straight complacency when it comes to Jesus and spreading the gospel. Wow. And while maybe complacency isn't like a sin directly, you know what I mean? It was like the biggest, what's going on? What's happening here? Are we not here to like tell the world about Jesus? And full on, everyone, because we originally came over and transitioned to church before we launched Life Church. And they were like, yeah, nah, I'm not interested at all about talking to my neighbors about Jesus. Wow. My faith is all about me, you know what I mean? And so that was a massive thing and we ran into that for a very long time, which really was very frustrating because a lot of people Jesus and they need to, you know what I mean? So let's tell them.
That's wild, man.
Pastor Trice?
I don't know, I go like this, like he can see me pointing at him. I don't know, I do that all the time. I'm like, please, sir, please.
It's even funnier when there's like 4 or 5 different squares on it.
Yeah, like,
go ahead.
You over there.
Make sure I got the question right. You said, what is the worst sin I've had to confront at my church?
Yep.
So, I don't know if we're measuring or leveling sins, but as
Hey,
far as
it's a question. Scale of 1 to 10. Back to Pastor Tim's scale. 1 to 10.
So I would say that in dealing with that type of stuff, every sin is somebody's own personal things that they have to deal with until they become divisive within the church. So there was a period early on when I was a pastor where it was somebody, what they were doing within the church was very divisive. You get that person that wants to invite people over to dinner and try to get them to side with them against you and try to figure out did you hear what he said? I didn't like this. I don't know what you think. And then, try to start their own church inside your church and you have to put them out, that type of thing. So I had one of them. Only person I ever had to put out. It was very awkward and I was non-hesitant. It was like.
So you've never put out a person outside of that, outside of the church?
Nope.
Can I ask a question? What would bring you to the place? I know you just shared a little bit, but what would bring you to the place of saying you have to go?
If you were cancer.
Huh?
You were cancer.
If they become a cancer.
You would have killed the body. You were doing harm. If you're in church doing harm to other people, you got to get dealt with. Because if you're dealing with your own sins and your own struggles, we all do. I'm here to help you. But when you start affecting other people, and if you're in church trying to persuade other people to leave the church or to be against me, you really got to go. Like yesterday, immediately.
I'd hate to get kicked out by Pastor Trice.
Yeah, he was very nice. I was very polite, very straightforward. Unfortunately, we will agree to disagree. You and your family need to go find another place of worship. Why stick around somewhere you don't want to be? Move along.
Wow. True story. What about you, Pastor Tim? What would it have to take for you to actually ask somebody to leave? Have you ever asked somebody to leave your church?
Only once.
Once? What was the situation?
It was a family, within the family dispute kind of thing that ended up where there was like abuse and it was like a bit of a weird scenario and it was kind of you're no longer allowed to be around your children scenario. And the kids were at church and this dude was still coming and we had to say, hey, listen, just until this is resolved, because it wasn't resolved. And so we said, hey, listen, until it's resolved, we need you not to be here because your wife is scared of you. There's some pretty major allegations going on right now. And so we asked him to leave. Now, to be honest, if I could redo, I wouldn't have done that. I actually would have asked her and the kids to leave because they were also connected very well to another church that they were originally a part of.
Okay.
Whereas he was, and so it wasn't like you, dude, can't be in church. It was like you guys can't be together because it's kind of crazy. Yeah. I would have asked them to be, hey, would you consider going back to this other church of yours that you love and they love you? There's no bad blood. It's all good, fam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I asked homeboy to leave and he is no longer in any church.
Wow.
Now, he chose to not get connected. That's not, I don't see that on me, but if I could do a redo on that one, I think that I would have fought a little bit harder from an eternal perspective who wasn't going to be connected in a church as opposed to someone who still would have been, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, you know what I mean? But if I could go back, I think that's the route that I would do again.
If everything worked out to the good for him, would you have brought him back and 100%. Put her out or just brought him back?
if they reconciled, oh yeah, once I asked him to leave, he wasn't really interested in coming back.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So
That makes sense.
He's like that.
So we've got another kind of like a serious question. We got two interesting questions here, but this one is more of like a serious tone. Based off of everything that's been going on, I think this is a really good questions as pastors for you guys to answer. Hey, what's up, Caleb? Can a church be both Black Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter? Meaning, can the church be both supporting the call against injustice and support law enforcement?
Pastor Trice. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Pastor Trice.
Yes. So it's weird because when they say can a church, and there's only one church, it's the body of Christ. So the church is supposed to be for all lives. So the term Black Lives Matter comes about because we see Black people being killed in the street by not just law enforcement, but by, regular citizens. And we're saying, hey, we need to, we don't want to be treated this way. And then this whole term Blue Lives Matter, I don't know. I kind of wrestle with that term because there's no such thing as a blue life. It's just a uniform. It's just something you do, and it's not who you are 24/7. But I 100% support our police officers. I believe that police officers matter. Their lives matter greatly. They put themselves at risk every single day to go out and do their job. I also believe that there needs to be some police reform. So I had a discussion this week, two nights ago. Pastor friend of mine who used to be a police officer, when we first met, he was a pastor and a police officer. And we were talking, and he has that bias because he used to wear the badge. He used to be, I had an ex-cop here last night sitting here in our prayer. And we talk about this stuff. And my pastor friend of mine who used to be a police officer, he said it. He said, Robert, they teach it right. He said, I was at the academy. They teach it right. They tell you, if you do this, you'll go to jail. You'll get sued. This will happen. They said, they teach it right. And then I said, oh, you learn the other stuff on the job. He said, when you get in that car with your partner who's been doing this, they said, hey, all that stuff you learned at the academy, that's good. We out here to survive. I got your back. You got my back. And the rules start to change. Because, and I would say this, as somebody who's been in school, sometimes somebody can teach you something in the classroom that's not really applicable in the real life situation. So I would say that there definitely needs to be some reform. There needs to be some adjusting. I mean, and we've seen countless videos, and it's not just against Black people, against citizens in general, how aggressive Americans are policed. And so Black Lives Matter as an organization, I am not in support of that. I am not in support of the Black Lives Matter organization. I was just recently brought into even let it know that, hey, there's an organization with an agenda. I was like, I never knew it was an organization. I just know my life matters and I don't want to be killed. So I had to go, and then, this organization that has an agenda to be like kind of I'm not anti-cop. I love police. I see, hey, how you doing, man? But I'm anti-bad cop. And I'm anti-good cop, not speaking up and saying something to the bad cop. So, if police were police, and even to that degree, that's a whole nother degree. People get mad when you say this, but if the Black community would police its community to a certain extent, we wouldn't have a lot of the same issues that we have. In the Black community, there's a no snitching. Shut up your mouth. You ain't seen nothing. You don't know nothing. When you get in the inner city, that's just regular police show up asking questions. I ain't seen nothing. I don't know nothing. If I'm not a drug dealer, I'm telling on the drug dealer because I want you out of my neighborhood. If I'm not for you beating your wife, I'm going to, hey, that guy's beating his wife. Get him out of here. You got to go. If we would start to get rid of the criminal elements in our community and stop covering up for it, I think that would help go a long way. And the police that do come to the community, come and ask you, hey, and they know but you won't help. And it's like, are you part of you're part of the problem. And so it messes up relations. So here's another piece. So I know.
Hold on, we got to let Pastor Tim answer as well too, but go ahead. All right, we can come back to you on that. Pastor Tim, can we've been seeing a lot, you know, especially like you're from Sydney. A lot of the Hillsong younger pastors are like going Black Lives Matter heavy. I just had a friend who was in town, and she's down at Hillsong LA, and they actually had a rally a couple of weeks ago or a week ago or so. I don't know how you're seeing it in your community, but can a church support Black Lives Matter and at the same time still support Blue Lives Matter, meaning support the police?
I feel like when people get behind Black Lives Matter, they don't know what they're getting behind. I don't think anyone disagrees with the slogan Black Lives Matter. I'm sure there's a pocket of people somewhere that do, you know what I mean? But for the most part, no one disagrees with that. But like Pastor Trice was saying, you look into the movement itself, and that's a different story. And so, we were talking just before we started, I'm not really on any social media at all. Like, I don't really do much there.
He's a hermit.
So much peace you have.
Yeah, that's why you're so chill. You live out on a farm. You said what do you have in your backyard? Chickens, goats, pigs, and all that?
Yeah, man, we've got it all. But like, I think one of the tough things, especially in America, this is one thing that I noticed when we moved over here from Australia. It's just so polarized and divided, you know? And so, like, if you were to actually look into who disagrees with Black Lives Matter, no one disagrees with that, really, you know what I mean? No one really disagrees that how George Floyd died was extremely unjust. People don't really disagree with that. And I think it's a shame that, like, you've got a country that in all aspects just gets pulled apart and divided amongst itself, even to the point where now it's not even racial, it's not black and white anymore. It's even finer than that. It's Black Lives Matters and White Lives Matters. Like, it's not even like it's now like we're getting divided on these really small things. Like, I've got a mate who's going really pretty hard on it, and he is to the point where he's like, if you are not blasting Black Lives Matter out of your top of your sunroof while you're driving down the road, you're straight up white supremacist. Like, that's kind of, it's taking you like, wow, dude, that's an extreme angle to take, you know. But I don't think people are as divided as the media likes to portray, and perhaps a lot of people would like us to be. Now, in saying that, I come from Sydney, where we don't have African Americans in Australia. Probably got a few African Australians.
Mm-hmm.
Get it? No, that wasn't funny. Okay.
Not funny. Not in this season. Too soon.
You know, like, there's not like I didn't grow up with like a whole lot of racism, to be honest with you, especially towards black people. Like, I don't even know at what point most kids realize that color's a thing, because it's just so diverse, and it's just a melting pot of cultures and races. And so it kind of like that. Now, at the same time, I learned that, like, when we were youth pastors in our area, it was a pretty violent, it was a pretty dangerous area. It wasn't the worst suburb in Sydney, but it was like right between, it was in the middle of the top 3 worst. So it was pretty wild. But a lot of, like, we had some police friends who, well, dude, I tell you what, so we got this youth ministry, and we would literally have our, like, hang time, like, we'd chill before youth ministry. Cops would, like, full on rip into our parking lot, grab kids, throw them in the car, drive off, and they drop them off at the end of the night, just beat.
Wow.
Beat. Yeah. And so we had some mates, we asked them, we're like, "Wait, what is going on here?" And our mate Danielle, who actually ended up getting transferred because she couldn't take it, she said the justice system is so broken that like, these people, they don't care if they get a mark, like an X on their name. Like, they're not looking for work. They're not trying to be lawyers and doctors. They don't work. They've already got records. They're on welfare, so they don't really need to work and, like, better themselves so much to get something. And so she's like, we don't put them through the justice system. we full on handcuff them and beat them and then just kind of catch and release. And she's like, we can go through all of the headache of running them through a system which does not make a difference and no justice will be served, or we can just do it our own way. And obviously that's pretty dirty. I'm not supporting that at all, but it was a reflection of the brokenness of a system where in the end, the police were kind of outworking their own form of justice or perceived.
That happens. That's pretty common in the city.
Pastor Trice, you kind of touched on it. Me personally, I find it kind of unnerving when somebody says they're anti-cops or, bash the police, because what are you gonna do when you're in trouble? The first person you're gonna call is the police.
Yeah.
So, Pastor Trice, what do you say to somebody that says I'm anti-police, down with the police?
Or what's that new slogan, ACAB, that people have been trying to throw around? Like, how do you teach against that?
So first off, and
then we'll move on to the next question after you answer.
People just have to learn to listen a little more. So when somebody says, I hate the police, let's get rid of the police, it's like I don't listen to what they say as much as there's a reason why they're saying this. Their experience or the narrative that's been painted for them has led them to this point. The majority of extreme comments or extreme stances come from a lack of understanding. So that's the issue with social media. Like, it's just a post, it's just a comment. And it's like, no, somebody probably just got to sit down and have a really good understanding. They probably need to broaden their view and how they see things and not just through their own lens, and realize that getting rid of all of them or hating them all because these guys these are men and women who have families, who kids go to school, and your kids probably live in your neighborhood or in the community, and they're not all bad. But if my experience is all bad, there was a point in my life where I hated police. Mm-hmm. There was a point in my life I hated police. Because I never had a good experience. They all sucked. So it took time and education and experiencing some good ones to realize it's not just police. It was just the ones that I had encountered were just horrible people.
Yeah. Dope.
And I can say for me, I feel the same way as you, Pastor Trice, but for me, it was probably, I was a little more knucklehead than I should have been at the time. I get it now, growing up, I get it, because if there ain't no police, I'm be mad.
Yeah.
Somebody gonna have to come help me, something going on.
Yeah, I'm calling the police.
And he said he is the biggest snitch. So
I am. Listen, don't do nothing crazy around me. I will tell on you, because I'm not going down for you. The whole thing of snitches get stitches, well, bruh.
He said he stays at the hospital.
I'll just be at the hospital. I'll just walk to the hospital after I snitch on you, because whatever. But all right, so this is a funny question, because I posted this like 2 months ago. I was like, man, I wish somebody would ask me this question. And then they ask it, so it's coming to you guys, and I don't get to answer it because I'm on this side. So
if you had a choice, what president to have a beer with, Clinton, Bush, Obama, or Trump?
Who are you picking to have a beer with?
Pastor Tim, go ahead. You go first.
Or if you don't drink, a refreshing glass of cola.
Or water, lemonade, anything.
American presidents. Who are they?
Who are they? Oh, he's probably right. Bill Clinton, George Bush, Donald Trump, and Barack Obama.
He said none of those.
I'd go Obama.
Why?
He's the only one he knows.
In an area that
he said he's the only one you know. He's like, he leans over to me. He's like, he's the only one he knows. All right, go ahead.
I'd go Obama because I'm in an area that, like, I don't know, everyone like full on was hating on him when he was in office. On the other side of the fence, And so everyone was just and no matter what this poor bloke did, everyone was just hating on him. You know, I like when we began pastoring, what I discovered was I repeatedly had to make decisions that made people very upset with the choices that I made. And they were so mad at the decisions that I just made for this church and the people in it. And like, I couldn't say anything, but in the back of my mind, I was like, if you only knew what the other option was, you'd be high-fiving me right now. But you what the work is, you're not privy to the behind the scenes, like that's not your role here. And I'm getting hated on, and if you only knew the options, you'd probably be my best friend right now. And I realized, you know, I'm looking at Obama and everyone over here is just hating on him, and no matter what decision, no matter what policy, no matter what, like he was just the worst thing ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I, you know what, like, I wonder what his other options were. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder how many times, no matter what he did, that poor bloke was going to lose anyway. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, oh, all these people hated on you for this. Bro, like, what else was there? Like, I want to know the option.
No, we got a question in the comments. What's a bloke? Jonathan Bailey said, what's a bloke?
Jonathan Bailey, uncultured. Dude, what?
Well,
it's a fella. Like, it's a dude.
It's a dude.
Man.
All right.
So
it's a guy.
That's the Australian.
That's the Australian to dude.
Listen, what's his name? Robert Bailey?
Jonathan Bailey.
Jonathan, you got some homework, Jonathan Bailey. Crocodile Dundee. Max, go watch it. All right, get cultured.
He said, go watch it, get cultured. Hey, we got Pastor John Morgan from Australia on here, and he says, it's Australian for genius.
How are you doing?
So I'm guessing you know Pastor John Morgan?
Yeah.
He said, yeah.
Yes.
That's my bloke.
Yeah, it's my bloke. He's a good friend of mine, man. Mentor, coach, man. John Morgan is phenomenal. He's awesome. Big shout out to Pastor John Morgan. Huh?
He's a bloke.
He's a bloke. He's a bloke.
That's a bloke.
I'm gonna start using that.
I'm gonna start calling him Pastor John Morgan. Call him a bloke. Like, yo, you my bloke. You my bloke.
Pastor Trice, you want to answer that? Don't shake your head. You know how we get down.
Yeah.
Which one would I have a beer with?
Yep.
My initial answer is Bush, just because I think he would have been fun to shoot the breeze with, talk with. I think he's a little more, come on, let's go fishing, let's go hunting, more me. But I would say probably Donald Trump, because I probably have more questions for him. I would like to get to know him. I would like to see behind closed doors if I could get him to kind of let down and just kind of have a conversation.
If he's a true bloke.
Just to be able to have a one-on-one conversation, I think it would be President Trump.
Your wife said you better answer right. Hopefully you gave the right answer.
I never get it. Listen, that's the thing, man. She know like I know. Like we don't have to agree. I got my own brain. We good.
That is hilarious. All right. We got
Obama. Like, why? I gotta have a beer with Obama.
You laughed at that. All right. Do we want to go in the lightning round?
Let's do it.
All right. We've got essentially 5 random questions that we're going to ask you. You answer them just as you hear them. So, first one.
What's the craziest thing that's happened to you on stage during your sermon? Man, he had Pastor
Silly.
I was in Sydney, right? And where I used to was in a great area. We had strip joints and brothels all over, right? And so we had a lot of prostitutes who would come to church. We had a lady in our church who would go into the brothels and bless all of the girls in there and really just love on them and just be straight Jesus to them. She ruled. And I did a a message on perspective one day. And afterwards, this girl rolls up and she's like, that was a great message. And I'm like, yeah, cool. But like, I can tell something's not right. What's going on? And she's like, oi, you want to go out the back with me real quick? And I'm like,
what?
No. I'm not a super smart human, okay? And so I asked the question, what for? Like, you didn't need to ask the question, man. And I've just done this message on perspective, and she goes, depends on what your perspective is.
Oh, wow. This happened at church, like right after you finished preaching.
Yes.
Holy smokes. Yeah, that's perspective, all right, on ministry.
That wasn't over here, because obviously that would never happen.
Never happened in the U.S.
Home of the great land of the free, greatest place on earth. Would never happen. I know.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
I didn't know church was so sexual. I heard a lot of nasty stuff going on in church.
I don't know if that was just church or me, but either way.
On a scale of 1 to 10, he's a 10. That's why it happened to him. He's a 10. On a scale of 1 to 10.
It was me.
It was me. I bring on that type of beat.
The anointing. It was my aura.
Jonathan Bailey said Mary Magdalene showed up.
Pastor Trice, I know you got a doozy.
Y'all asked me this question a couple weeks ago.
Oh, were you on there?
Yep.
All right. Well, you got another one? Or can we skip you and go to the next question?
It's not as funny or crazy as his, but I was preaching. This was my first time ever being asked to come preach like a revival. And I wasn't even a pastor. I was preaching in Chicago. And I did this whole youth thing Friday, Saturday, and the Sunday service. It was crazy. It was just one of those, like, it's like a message of like a rebuke, like literally rebuke this whole big church and call them all out, tell them how they need to repent. They ain't doing right. It was crazy. And I remember when I got done, I was like walking. I wasn't even in the pulpit. I was all the way down the aisle with the mic. And I was walking, and it was just like the Holy Spirit was like, you're done. And I was walking back to the stage. The youth pastor was my boy Chuck. He was sitting there. He was sitting next to one of my best friends. They both go to this church. And I just handed him the mic and grabbed my Bible and sat down. And he was sitting there holding the mic, and he was like, and he handed it to my friend because they was like, I'm not going up there after this. That was probably one of the craziest. It was just an absolute, like, this guy is nuts. What did he just say? Like one of those type messages. But
then God just says you're done. Like, right?
Yeah, like
you're walking the aisle preaching, and then on your way back
to the front, and then I just handed him the mic, grabbed my Bible, and sat down.
Wow.
And like probably 2/3 of the church came up for the altar call.
Good.
It was crazy. It was nuts.
I got one for Pastor Tim. This comes special just for you.
Oh my gosh.
Has Pastor Tim ever seen a North Queensland girl who rated over 2.5?
Oh my gosh.
They don't get that high.
He said they don't get
that high.
He married the first American he said hello to.
Oh my gosh.
He said they don't get that.
God, terrible.
Wow, that's so bad.
Y'all are reckless.
That was funny.
You can't go home, bro.
Which one?
What is that last one? What's your favorite childhood cartoon and why?
Pastor Tim looked like he didn't
have a TV.
He's like, TV. I've never watched TV a day in my life. I've got goats
he said I got goats,
chickens in the back.
I haven't had a TV for 13 years.
You're lying.
We don't have a TV. I don't have a microwave. I don't have a toaster. We don't have Wi-Fi. I got Wi-Fi, like a hotspot on my phone, but like that's it. We don't have Netflix.
Now?
Yeah.
Wow. So you for real? Like you guys
Are you Amish?
Well, I can't. Like this is 34
Amish
years.
or Mennonite, one of the two.
It's not working. They won't accept me.
Wow. So no, you guys don't have a microwave, no toaster, no TV.
What y'all got, like a hamster running in a wheel for electricity? That's how you got the light on right there. You got one light.
Is that why your wife is sitting next to you? Because that's the only light in the home. Oh gosh!
Dude,
Wow.
we don't even have trash service.
You say you don't even have trash service?
You
Man,
know you're
Red off the grid, bro.
This is not
that
the
one.
Cell phone.
We were trying to pay our house off, and so we were cutting like every expense, and the trash was like $18 a month, and we were like, I'll figure that out.
So
what do you do with your trash? Just burn it?
The paper we do, plastic we recycle. To do all about the earth.
all about the earth.
So you do like the vegetable, what is those things? The
compost.
Compost.
There you go.
So do you guys have like what are those things called? A homestead?
Yeah. So all of our food scraps, like they go to either compost, depending on what they are, or our pigs. And what the pigs don't finish, because we feed them other stuff as well, then we give that to the chickens, and they finish that. And then the chickens give us eggs and meat. It's like this whole ecosystem that like we've got going on here. It's like a full-on like Zooniverse.
So if coronavirus like resurges and like zombie apocalypse happens, you're good.
We barely even noticed it happened the first time, dude. We homeschool like.
Oh, that answers a question somebody had for you. Do you have kids, Pastor Tim?
4 kids.
4 kids.
Like,
what are the ages?
Right. We haven't had a TV in 13 years. Of course, I've got kids. What are you talking about?
Yeah, true story. Well, we know where you have your entertainment.
He said it's 19 and counting over here.
And they're expecting 3 more in the next 4 years.
We
What
got
about
a
you,
10-year-old.
Pat? Go ahead.
I thought you asked about. We got a 10-year-old son. We got an 8-year-old daughter, 6-year-old daughter, 4-year-old daughter.
Oh, sweet. Oh, 3 girls, 1 boy. Dope. Pastor Robert, you got all girls, 1 boy too. 2 girls, 1 boy. What's your favorite childhood cartoon?
Man, I liked a lot of cartoons.
Wait, hold on. Before you answer that, Pastor Latricia said, Pastor Tim, do you use technology at church?
A bullhorn.
Yeah, like we projectors it the slides on, like everyone else. Goes up on the wall.
You said you use the plastic projector with the hamster wheel that he brought to church to get the electricity going again.
Go.
All right, Pastor Robert, please share.
One of my favorite cartoons is a cartoon that people never heard of. It's called The Littles.
Ain't that about some mice?
No, it was little people. They actually had a
little.
And they used to hide behind the walls, and they had like their own little city and their own little cars and contraptions, and they would hide from the adults and kind of live in their own little world. I used to love that. That fascinated me.
That's dope. That's dope. Y'all. Thank you for today. Y'all got through it.
That's
Y'all
it.
did good. Y'all did good. Hey, give that hamster some extra seeds tonight. So tomorrow he'll be running good for you tomorrow.
Because you guys are probably up too late. You guys probably go to sleep like 8:30 in the afternoon, don't you? Evening.
My alarm goes off at 10 o'clock. No matter what, if I'm out, I go home. If I'm home, I go to bed. But 10 o'clock, that thing rings.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's
Man,
good.
can I come and stay with you guys for like a week and just experience that?
You wouldn't be able to take it, bro.
I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't.
That's softest warm butter.
Really?
They got snakes.
Dude to a cabin on the lake, and he thought he was roughing it. We had TV, we had everything.
No. Let me tell you.
He came back with a story, boy. He said he was roughing it.
Let me tell you guys something. He's talking about. I was complaining. This brother begged his wife to call her coworker at 11 o'clock at night to get the Apple TV because he just so desperately needed his Netflix.
Yeah.
And I'm the soft one.
No, you said we were roughing it. We weren't roughing it.
I didn't say we were roughing it. I said it was actually pretty good.
It was really nice.
It was great. I loved it. I'll do it again.
It sounded fun.
But you passed Muta, you ain't gonna deal with no homestead, bro. You can't. Hey, listen,
you're right. I'm gonna tell you, I'm a city guy all the way. Listen, let me tell you guys something.
Let me tell you when it would be over. It would be over when you get out of the car and you smell it. You're like, oh, pigs, bro. This man got pigs and chickens,
yeah,
bro. That's smell.
That first chicken flying.
I grew up in South St. Joe, and I've seen people kill chicken. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say that. For all the PETA people, but make chickens available to eat when they were once live. But yeah, I'm not outdoors. Get me a city, give me a coffee shop, give me some air conditioning.
I grew up in Sydney City, man. Skyscrapers and cement. Like down Grand Rapids to me is like a small little villagey shopping mall compared to what I'm used to, man. Like this out here to me is a whole new thing.
I believe it. And he loves it. I love it. All right, guys, we've come to the end. Pastor Tim, I would ask you to share all of your social media spots, how people can follow you. But they can't because you have
what's
none.
The name of your pigeon? What's the name of your pigeon that you throw out?
Oh God, we got a spotted pigeon or something like that. I don't know if that thing even exists. I don't know if a spotted pigeon exists.
Spotted pigeon is.
All right, y'all. All right, can you close this out in prayer? Prayer blessing over everybody who's watching.
Me?
Yeah, yes. Pastor Tim. You gotta hurry up, man. That hamster ain't got much time.
We're trying to get energy that we can. We don't want the lights to go out right now, so hurry up and pray so that we can get you home, get home free and sleep because it's three minutes past your bedtime.
Oh my God, we thank you for a great night where we get to hang out and spend time with each other and with you at the center. God, I pray that tonight, whatever was said, God, we thank that you're going to take it, you're going to use it for good, to uplift and to build and inspire people in life. God, we thank you that your hand of favor is all over the people who are listening tonight. God, we thank you for your blessing upon them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, fellas.
Happy
Father's Day to both of y'all.
For
Pastor
sure.
Muta, happy Father's Day to you.
Happy Father's Day to you, my friend.
Appreciate it. Everybody that's listening, that's a dad. Happy Father's Day. Is over, but we taking over. Women had it. We taking over.
We got it. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.